Asalaamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatahu, brothers and sisters. Today I just wanted to talk about critical cases. Basically, if you're somebody who is going through a really bad case of possession and it is interfering with your daily life, it could be by you lost your job, or you have periods where you completely don't know what happened, you were unconscious, or the jinn completely surfaced and is taking over your daily life. This is just a bit of advice for people who are going through cases as bad as this. I just wanted to say the first thing to do would be to implement a plan of action that you can take to start to reduce your symptoms, because once you start to understand sihr, you can start to appreciate that sihr is like a long-term illness. When I originally came across it, I used to feel like I have to do ruqya and I have to take these steps, and then out of nowhere you get cured. Listening more into talks and talking to people, I've realised that it's more a process of healing. So imagine you have like a burn, and the burn is fresh and it's causing you a lot of pain, and what happens is slowly, as you begin to take your treatment, you slowly begin to heal over time. And this is what we're doing. People suffer from long-term cases of sihr. People have sihr for, I know, cases of over 5 years. So but what you can do, instead of worrying about it going, is reducing your symptoms to a stage where your life becomes more manageable. And at the time when you're going through something as bad as this, you could have injuries on your body, you could be leaving the house, and you know your case. You might feel like that's a long shot away, but if you stick to treatment, I've seen improvement in just 2 weeks. So I just want to let you know that how to get these symptoms down, and the first thing, as I said, would be to implement a plan of treatment. Now, depending on how much you can handle, because jinns all react to different level and they all react to different things. So if somebody listens to one surah, they may react a lot more than as another person might react a lot more to another surah. That doesn't mean that they're both not cures, it just means that the jinn just happen to have different levels of dislikes and hates to different treatments. So you might find that you do a little bit and you're reacting a lot. That's fine, just continue on with it. So if you're really bad, I would say the more you do, you will see a dramatic reduction in your symptoms. So if you are extremely aggressive at the time, find a time where you're on your own and you are in an okay frame of mind. You might not be perfect. That's one of the unfortunate sides to sihr, is that you may be constantly anxious, you may be constantly depressed, but just try and find a time where you feel relatively okay, or if you feel like you need to be alone, as long as you don't react violently when you're doing your ruqya and you think you'll be okay, just take a little while out, listen to some ruqya audios. There are loads up on YouTube. I'm going to put some on the website soon, inshallah. Listen to the ruqya audios, at least an hour, I would say, or 45 minutes is the bare minimum in these cases. Remember, I'm talking about the critical cases here where symptoms are really out of control. Another way that is very beneficial is to recite upon water. Now, practically every Raqi who acts according to the Sunnah, the Quran and Sunnah, will say to recite upon water and then drink this water, sprinkle it across the corners of the house, and to bathe in it. I will include more information of that as well, inshallah, but for now, as a treatment, you can get a jug of water and recite upon there, the 3 chapters of the Quran, You could do that 30 times or 40 times. That can be a jug. Or you can recite upon a jug of water Fatiha 7 times, Ayatul Kursi, the last 2 verses of the Quran. People mention specific lists of what to recite, but I've noticed as long as you're reciting Quran, the most beneficial are the ayat that include magic and sorcery. So what you do is you recite this upon the water, and then you blow into the water and just drink this. The actual process of reciting on the water itself, once you begin, if you had made intention of ruqya, that itself will start to affect you. You might start feeling tired, you might start feeling like you don't want to carry on. Usually it's a feeling of getting really drained. That's just that it's working, and I found that to be quite beneficial, because that you're reciting and then you're drinking it in as well. So it's going into you as well, and that's going to inshallah affect them even more. So once you've got your treatment plan down, I want you to have like a daily treatment. In these cases, as much as possible, if you're really bad and you feel like you can't at the time, do as much as you can. And then the next thing I would say is get your environment right. So if you are in a room and you're experiencing unusual events in that room, and you feel there may be something there, or in house, if it's possible, change your environment. Try and see how you are. If you sleep somewhere else in another room for a while, if it's possible to stay somewhere else, and because these might be factors contributing to it. The way that you would know if it is if you have experienced strange things in that area. If you haven't and you don't feel like it's something to do with that, that's fine. Another way to protect yourself though would be to start sprinkling the Quranic water over all corners of the house, all corners of your room, the door frames, things like that. And do that often, and play Surah Baqarah in the room often, because the shayateen hate Surah Baqarah and they flee from the house in which Surah Baqarah is read. So you have to do that, because in a lot of bad cases I've noticed it's not just in the person, they tend to unfortunately experience things around the house as well. So they will think, oh my god, there's this happening and there's this happening next to me, and I saw this, and things are moving and things are falling and all these crazy things are happening as well. And that's just adding fuel to the fire, to be honest, if you let those things carry on. So the first thing you can do is at least address that, and once you've got that down to a minimum, then inshallah you can start focusing on what's going on inside your body more as well, because it's really not going to help if you've got all of that going on and your own problems in your body. After that, I would say seek support, because if you're really bad and you're having problems even controlling your own body, you should have at least one person in your family. Try and get somebody who will do ruqya on you. Again, ruqya can be done by anybody, as long as the person, I would say, has a relationship with Allah, knows how to read the Quran with tajweed, because you do have to read the Quran correctly in the ruqya, and they pray their salah and things like that, because once you do ruqya is basically you're fighting against the enemies of Allah. The reason why I encourage anybody to do it is because you're helping your brother and sister. It is a means of reward, and even though you might be fighting these enemies of Allah, we shouldn't be afraid. That means that as a believer, we're on the side of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so why would we be afraid of addressing his enemies when we have the help of Allah, inshallah? So don't back out. Have one person to do ruqya upon you constantly. They can recite into their palms and rub it over your body, and that is something that normally does really help. I have noticed if you are overly emotional at any time, so if you're having an anger outburst, or more so I would say if you're crying or laughing, or if you're feeling really depressed and you can't control it, you can get somebody to put their right hand on your forehead, and reciting into your ear, you recite Surah Fatiha 7 times, and that will calm the person down a lot. Subhanallah, Surah Fatiha has this really calming and soothing effect on people. And in these cases it really does help. The next thing I would say is, in ruqya, either when if you're doing it or the person is doing it upon you, is to remain calm and not to think too much and to be firm, because in critical cases it's usually where there's a jinn that is really aggressive, or it's really tries to act like it's not going to listen to the raqi. That does tend to happen a lot in ruqya. What you can have is the jinn will just laugh, or it will just act like, nothing is happening to me. In these cases, don't despair, or what it might do is it will try not to listen to you. So if you've said to it to leave, or I'm going to recite Quran on you, it might say, I'm going to get up and go then. In these cases, ignore the jinn and stay firm with it. In a critical case of ruqya, you have to stay firm, because what they do is, they try to test you. So they're going to try and test your limits and see how much can I take from this person. How serious are they? So literally, if you're doing ruqya upon your loved one or somebody in your family and you're getting that kind of reaction, you have to say, leave, or I'm going to continue. And if it says no, and you say it much firmer and say, I am going to continue, and you do continue, it realises it's not going to get anywhere. It realises it can't do that with you, it can't test you like that, so then you carry on. And that would be the way to deal with them in that way as well. The rest of the time, I would say, is if you are feeling okay, you are doing your ruqya, and there are times in the day, it's likely that the rest of the time you might be feeling depressed or anxious because of all of this that is going on. So it's pretty much a never-ending cycle. So you're feeling bad, you're doing all of that, and then when you are feeling relatively okay, you're still thinking about it and you're still feeling down about it. So I would say, get out, get some air. SubhanAllah, looking at the creation of Allah, going out, spending time with people close to you, it is going to help you, even if it's just a little bit more positivity coming your way. And just sometimes take your mind off it, even if it's for 15 minutes, even if it's for half an hour. You need to get your state of mind somewhere a little higher, because the lower you are, that's what they want. The lower you are, the less you're going to do, or the more likely you are to start giving up hope in Allah, because once you've given up hope in Allah, that makes their game easy. So you need to do whatever you can just to feel a bit better, and it is going to help you, inshallah. It will help you heal more, and then you'll be ready to come back with a fresher mind and continue with your ruqya, inshallah. That's all I have so far for the critical cases. I am looking for more advice, because I think this is one of the worst types of sihr and possession to go through, and we all feel for our brothers and sisters who are going through stuff like this. So I just want anybody who's out there to reach out, write some comments, send me an email to help our brothers and sisters. What have you found that's helpful? Are you going through that? If you are, what helps you? And then inshallah we can pass this information on, and we can all start helping each other. I hope you're all doing well. I pray for you all, inshallah we all get a cure soon. Asalaamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatahu.